and gentlemen. So, Nisambula, to those of you who have journeyed far to be here, welcome to Fiji. I'd like to thank the Pacific Ocean Commissioner for giving me the privilege of addressing you all at the early stage of this regional dialogue. Hopefully what I have to say will stimulate the expression of many other points of view, and I look forward to hearing and interacting with these ideas over the next few days. We can be grateful in the Pacific Islands that we have such strong regional institutions. The saying goes, smooth seas never a skillful sailor made, and our institutions have battled many a storm to get to where we are today. My great admiration for our regional institutions comes from, as Penny was alluding to, close on 2 decades of working in the Fiji's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from 2 years secondment to SPEC, the predecessor of the Secretariat of the Pacific Island Forum. And from the perspective, as Penny mentioned, of one of the group of Pacific Island ambassadors in New York who relied heavily on the advice of our regional institutions back home for our informed positions at the United Nations. Now in my role as the UNSG Special Envoy for the Ocean, I rely on advice from multilateral and regional organizations from around the planet. It is thus that I say we should be grateful here in the Pacific, for not only have our regional institutions stood that test of tide and tide, but they continue to deliver collaborative solutions that serve the best interests of our region and thereby the whole of the world. From its inception, the Office of the Pacific Ocean Commissioner has held powerful potential. There can be no healthy planet without a healthy ocean, and the largest part of the ocean is what human beings call the Pacific. And as such, our responsibilities are vast as the ocean itself. And so to have a commissioner who speaks on behalf of this immense part of the ocean means the authority of the Pacific voice is growing upon the global stage. And since we're challenged on many fronts by a planetary decline in the ocean's health, the vital messages articulated by that voice become heavier with every passing year. Many of our regional institutions have responsibilities relating directly to ocean issues. PIFs, SBC, FFA, SPREF, USB, and more. But with the establishment of the Office of the Pacific Ocean Commissioner in Palau and Dr. Manoni's assumption of office as Commissioner, we are starting a new chapter. And it is a chapter that has huge implications for the understanding and advocacy of Pacific Ocean concerns and aspirations. Accordingly, we must enter this new chapter in the most positive of spirits, for the challenges ahead are like mighty swells bearing down upon us. It behoves us all, the governments of the region and our regional institutions, not forgetting the multilateral organizations at global and Asia-Pacific levels, to give the Commissioner the space, the respect, and the support his high office requires to fill the powerful potential of which I've spoken. As the UNSG Special Envoy for the Ocean, I pledge here today to do whatever is in my power to assist the Commissioner in his new role. And I think looking at the high level of representation around this room today, that spirit is with us as we move forward, Dr. Manoni. Time is not on our side. The decline of the ocean's health, be it measured by indices of fisheries or pollution or acidification or deoxygenation or warming, is continuing. Biodiversity loss and the climate crisis worsened by the day. We've agreed upon conventions that can overcome these existential challenges, but they make a difference only if they're faithfully implemented. And the narrow window for doing so is closing with every passing year. It is in such a context that we find ourselves in a race to implement SDG 14, our universal goal of conserving and sustainably using the ocean's resources. Great strides have been taken over the last 2 years in the direction of SDG 14's attainment. At the World Trade Organization, the banning of harmful fisheries subsidies is progressing through the stages required, and hopes are high that we'll get the job done on SDG 14.6 by the time of the WTO Ministerial Conference next February. Meanwhile, in November this year, the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee will be considering the first draft of the internationally binding plastic pollution treaty that UNEA hopes to have in place by the end of next year. Control of IUU fishing is making slow progress, but with every new signature of FAO's Port States Measures Agreement, we come one step closer to control. And I think if we look at the Pacific Rim now, with Mexico's recent signing, it's only China and Papua New Guinea that have yet to sign PSMA. The conclusion of the High Seas Treaty, PB&J, and all congratulations to OPOC for their role, was a huge step forward for better governance of the ocean. And then at the CBD COP in Montreal last December, the protection of ocean ecosystems was given that major boost through the universal agreement that we reached under the Global Biodiversity Framework to protect 30% of the planet by 2030. All of these advances have been arrived at after sacrifices from many sides, but they all exist for the common good. What I want to emphasize is that none of them are anything but good intentions until they are ratified back at the national level so that they can be brought into force at the international level. Therefore, the catch cry for us all, as we go home from dinner at the end of this week, should be ratify, ratify, implement, implement. The Pacific voice was strong in getting these agreements into place, but the ratification from the Pacific, I have to say, is rather slow. I say that as a Pacific Island representative. Commissioner, in the shape of the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent, our leaders have set us on course to a secure future that places great value on the ocean and land. In pursuit of this course, many of our governments are now devising their national ocean plans and marine spatial plans. In all these efforts, we are taking care to attain the balance envisaged by SDG 14 between conservation and sustainable use, with intergenerational justice being observed as our guiding star. As we voyage into a future made increasingly precarious by global warming, we begin to grasp the great importance of the emerging sustainable blue economy. Many believe that in the not too distant future, the sustainable blue economy will be the basis of human security. And as a loving grandfather, I count myself amongst them. Many of us at recent UNFCCC COPs have called for movement of the climate finance needle in the direction of the sustainable blue economy. And I'm pleased to say that there is evidence that that needle is now moving significantly. We do not want millions or billions of dollars to flow to the sustainable blue economy. We want trillions of dollars. Why? Because we need those dollars to secure the health of the ocean and thereby the planet, and thereby the well-being of our grandchildren. We need the trillions of dollars to decarbonize the global shipping fleet and the ports that service it, funding a transformation that's already begun, moving from powering our ships with the filth of bunker oil to pollution-free green hydrogen and other decarbonized propulsion systems. We need the trillions because if we invest now in offshore energy, in wind, in tidal, in wave, and other systems, other technologies, we will have all the renewable energy we need many times over to power sustainable ways of life on this planet. We need the trillions of dollars invested to feed the future through sustainable agriculture and farming the ocean to produce new, sustainable, nutritious forms of future food, seaweeds, phytoplanktons, and other ethical, non-fed forms of aquaculture. We need the trillions for the scientific research of the ocean that will help us understand the currently unknown properties that, among so many other benefits, will secure our health in the post-antibiotic age. So, Commissioner, in conclusion, I hope we will see many of those present with us today in Nice in the early weeks of June 2025. As you well know, we'll be gathering there for the third UN Ocean Conference to support the implementation of SDG 14. I'm happy to say that I've recently visited Nice to confer with the mayor and inspect the conference site, and I can assure you we have an excellent venue for the conference. Building upon the experience of the previous two UN Ocean Conferences and supported by the UN Secretariat and my office, the conference's organizing committee has commenced its proceedings under the co-chairmanship of the 2025 co-hosts Costa Rica and France. And I should tell you, the co-hosts have decided to place special emphasis on ocean science and the financing of the sustainable blue economy, with work now well underway in both cases to hold special events on these two subjects. It's also encouraging to observe that the communities of ocean action are being refreshed under UNDESA guidance and are proceeding with their preparations for the 2025 conference. I encourage you all to follow these and other developments on the UN Ocean Conference website and to get involved in the preparatory process. The UN Ocean Conferences expressly exist to keep the process of implementing SDG 14 honest. They would not exist were it not for the insistence of Pacific small island developing states that, in the first place, SDG 14 be brought into existence, and in the second place, that the Ocean Conference process be adopted to keep our universal goal on track. The attainment of SDG 14's targets will mean so much for the prosperity and security of our region. Thus, it is reasonably expected by the international community that the Pacific region will continue to serve in the vanguard of ocean ideas, partnerships, and commitments. We now have in Dr. Maloney and the Office of the Pacific Ocean Commissioner the convener we need to lead and rally us in that vanguard. Let us use the regional dialogue here in Denver this week to energize our approach to the next UN Ocean Conference, assisting the Pacific Ocean Commissioner pull together the many strengths of our regional institutions and to make the impact on global decision making that we need for the ocean we want and for the well-being of our people and the ecosystems within which they survive. So, thank you for your attention this morning.